This tragedy should have never happened. I am Sergeant Gomez from the Homicide Unit. The entire Homicide Unit, Cleveland Homicide Initiative, and our partners from the FBI are here today in honor of Baby Jailyn Candelario. When we were first notified of this horrific case, we were all heartbroken. But when we started digging deeper into the investigation, it was beyond horrific.
I was the lead detective investigator on this case, and I can honestly say, Your Honor, in my 17-year career as a Cleveland police officer, this by far is the most horrific case I've ever had to investigate. Now I've been a detective for 10 years. No child should ever have to die this way. Jailyn's life truly mattered. Unfortunately, she died trying to survive off of her own urine and fecal matter.
The thought of this child dying every day while she's having fun, humanity can't stomach that. And those are the actions that need to be punished. She abandoned her daughter and left her for dead.
She didn't want this to happen. You could hear that. Screaming, help me. My daughter's dying.
Mama.
Cleveland EMS, what's the address of your emergency?
Please help me. My daughter is, I don't know what happened, but she don't respond nothing. She don't respond.
Okay, repeat that address for me, okay?
Please help me right now.
Okay, I'm trying to help you. I need that address.
Please.
Single home or apartment?
Please. I'm home.
Okay.
Yailin, aquí estoy. Si tienes...
Which phone number you're calling from?
I can explain it in English, please. Help me.
If you would have took her to the hospital, she may have been alive today, okay? Yeah, exactly. You have a responsibility as a parent, as a mother, okay? It is your responsibility, okay, to get that child some care, some medical care, specifically, if you know, right, that she is sick, and she's been sick for several days. You know that she's been sick because you told me she was sick.
Sí, cuando ella estaba enferma anteriormente, yo he sido siempre la que llevaba al hospital a ella.
Do you think she'd be alive today if maybe you took her to the hospital?
¿Cómo?
Do you think she'd be alive today? She would be here today? Si tú no hubiese llevado al hospital, ¿tú crees que ella hubiese estado aquí hoy?
A lo mejor sí.
All called this one of the most horrific cases they've ever seen. You committed the ultimate act of betrayal, leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected, to suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable. With no food, no water, no protection, and lying in her own feces.
For several days in a row, the residents of West Boulevard in Cleveland heard a child crying from one of the houses on the street. The sound never fully stopped. It would quiet down and start again at all hours, including the middle of the night. Doorbell cameras on neighboring porches picked it up automatically. People heard it. The cameras recorded it. And nobody called the police. When investigators finally entered that house, what they found stopped even the most experienced officers in their tracks. The body of a 16-month-old girl was so severely dehydrated that when her skin was pressed, it stayed folded and did not return to its normal position. Her face was covered in scratches. Under her fingernails and in her mouth, investigators found fecal matter, the only thing she had been able to reach in her final days in an attempt to survive. The medical examiner determined that Jailyn's body had fought to survive for approximately 7 days before it finally gave out. 7 days in which she cried and waited and slowly faded, while the world outside that house carried on without knowing. When those findings were presented in court, the medical examiner's voice broke as she read them aloud. The defense attorney who represented the person responsible sought psychological counseling after the case concluded, saying it had broken him personally. The judge stated from the bench that in his entire career, he had never encountered anything remotely comparable to what he witnessed in that courtroom. You're watching Detective Meyer's Stories, 2 documentary case breakdowns every week, covering the cases that need to be talked about. If this is your first time here, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Drop a comment with the city you're watching from. It matters to me to see how far these stories travel, because cases like this one shouldn't only be known by the people who happen to be nearby. Share this video because the more people know what happened to Jailyn, the greater the chance that next time, someone nearby won't stay silent. Her name was Jailyn Candelario. She was 16 months old. Jailyn was born on January 26, 2022, in Cleveland, Ohio. The neighbors who saw her almost every day described her the same way: curious, big beautiful eyes, and almost always smiling. A 13-year-old girl who lived next door talked about her the way you talk about a younger sister you adore.
She was always happy, always playing and smiling and laughing.
Pictures and happy memories. That's all neighbors have of 16-month-old Jailyn Candelario.
I absolutely loved her. She was like a little sister to me.
A woman on the block that everyone knew as Lola took Jailyn in so often that the little girl eventually started calling her mom. And not as a joke, but as a genuine form of address, because the woman who had given birth to her was simply not around enough for that word to mean only one person. Jailyn's biological mother, Kristel Candelario, had come to Cleveland from Ecuador in 2016. She held a bachelor's degree in education and had worked first as an instructional aide and later as a substitute teacher in elementary schools, spending her professional days surrounded by other people's children and understanding exactly what those children needed. Her social media pages painted the picture of a woman living a full and active life. Travel photos, beach destinations, new outfits, smiling selfies, while her own children appeared only occasionally, a few photos scattered among dozens of others. She had taken her older daughter Amia on trips and vacations and knew perfectly well how to travel with a child. With Jailyn, she never went anywhere. Jailyn's father, Henry Garcia, lived in Ecuador and was unable to enter the United States due to visa complications. He had watched his daughter's birth through a phone screen on a video call, and after that he never saw her again. In the 16 months that Jailyn was alive, her father never held her once. What had been building long before the summer of 2023 was something the people around Kristel had noticed and said nothing about. A woman named Carol who had babysat Jailyn on several occasions later told investigators that Kristel's indifference toward her own child had always been obvious, that she would promise to be back in 5 minutes and then show up hours after midnight, and that this happened not once but regularly. Neighbors had taken Jailyn in for what was supposed to be a few hours and ended up waiting 4 days for her mother to return. In August of 2022, Kristel asked a neighbor named Lola to watch Jailyn for the weekend, and Lola agreed, only for Kristel to disappear for a month and a half, leaving no money for formula, no way to reach her, and no explanation, while Lola made calls asking her to send something, anything, for the baby. It was during that stretch that Jailyn began calling Lola mom. Multiple neighbors spoke to Kristel directly and told her not to leave the child alone, that they could see what was happening. She heard them. Kristel's own aunt lived nearby and had offered help more than once, and Kristel had consistently kept her at a distance. The support existed. She chose not to take it.
We spoke with neighbors that live right next door to them. They said back in August they agreed to watch the child for a weekend. That weekend turned into a month and a half. It's disturbing.
I was the one calling her, look, I need milk, I need money, I don't have no money to buy milk for you, baby, what am I supposed to do?
We were absolutely heartbroken. We loved Jailyn a lot. Jailyn really didn't deserve what happened to her. She was amazing and really adorable, and I miss her a lot.
Meanwhile, Jailyn was growing up in a home where the neighbor's house felt more like her real home than her own, loved more deeply by people she wasn't related to than by the one person who was supposed to love her most. I think about that often. A child who found herself a mother because her real one was always somewhere else. And the whole time, nobody picked up the phone and called anyone who could have stopped it.
It wasn't really her mom that was taking care of her, it was her grandma that was mostly taking care of her. Her mom always wanted to go out and just left her with her grandma and all that.
By early 2023, something in Kristel's life had visibly fractured. In January, she swallowed 20 ibuprofen tablets. In February, her mother found her in her room with half her body numb and took her to the hospital, where doctors ruled out a stroke, diagnosed an anxiety disorder, prescribed antidepressants, and sent her home. She returned in March asking for a refill, and although her doctor noted in the file that she should have had medication remaining, he wrote the prescription again. When that supply eventually ran out, Kristel did not go back. She stopped the medications all at once, without medical supervision and without the gradual tapering that those drugs require. Nobody followed up on her. Nobody noticed.
Her attorney joining us now, Derek Smith. We appreciate you being here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
So Derek, we heard about the appalling conditions that Jailyn was left in. Her screams apparently could be heard on neighbors' doorbell camera. Was this one of the toughest cases you've ever worked on?
Yes, I have to say that it is. It was. When we first took on this case, my colleague Patrick Milligan and I were really struggling with going through some of the evidence, some of the pictures. Got to do our job though. At the end of the day, got to defend the Constitution, defend our client best we can.
I want to talk about mental health. Her family mentioned her mental health struggles, and you did the same at trial, saying that she suffered from anxiety and depression. A lot of people have anxiety and depression. Do you think that her anxiety and depression explains what happened? And a separate question, does it excuse it?
Again, since we took this case on, we've been trying to explain just part of the job of a defense attorney is to, get all the facts, try to understand the situation. What are the facts telling you? What is the situation that the client is going through at the time? Yes, anxiety and depression, I struggle from that myself. So I know a lot of people do, and it's not an excuse for what happened. We were just trying to, show everybody what she was going through at the time, kind of what added to her calculus and her decision-making when she went ahead and did what she did. And I said this again at sentencing, it's not a justification. She knows that. She pled. She took responsibility for it. She can't articulate her own state of mind during that time, which is alarming. Not only was she on a couple different of these antidepressants, but she stopped taking them. So that, in amongst itself, is an issue. You can't stop taking those drugs and to be tapered off. You could not only have side effects from the withdrawal, but any underlying conditions that you have had could be exacerbated.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that point up. Can I ask, when did she stop taking the medication in relation to this happening?
Yes, about a good 2 to 3 weeks, because after she was admitted to the hospital at the beginning of February, she was put on 2 antidepressants, but they were not specifically treating depression. They were for what they thought at the time were migraines, complex migraines, and they were treating them kind of off-label. But again, still antidepressant. And then she went back in March because she had run out earlier than she should have, which was an issue in the medical records saying, she shouldn't have run out of these drugs, but yet she was calling because she needs more of them.
Yeah.
There was no evaluation.
Derek, forgive me. There are 2 more questions I want to make sure we have time for.
While all of that was unfolding inside the house, Jailyn turned 1-year-old, then 14 months, then 16. She grew up in a house where her mother was barely present, and by the time she was old enough to reach for someone, the woman she called mom was not the woman who had given birth to her. In early June of 2023, Kristel's parents left for a vacation in Ecuador and took Kristel's 7-year-old daughter Amia with them, leaving Kristel alone with Jailyn for the first time with no one else in the house to step in. Investigators would later piece together what happened next through receipts, flight records, and hundreds of hours of camera footage. As early as June 4th, a receipt placed Kristel at a Denny's restaurant in Taylor, Michigan at 11:29 in the morning, which meant she had already left Cleveland, and Jailyn had been home alone at least since the night before. Kristel came back briefly on June 6th, and that same afternoon at 5:24, a doorbell camera on a neighbor's porch recorded her walking out of the house carrying a suitcase, loading it into her car, and driving away. The diaper bag was still in the closet, untouched. Jailyn's crib was filled with old toys instead of bedding. Every door on that street belonged to someone who knew Jailyn, who had fed her and held her and called her their own. Kristel knocked on none of them. By 8:05 that same evening, a highway camera had already captured her car crossing into Michigan. Jailyn was left alone in a pack-and-play playpen, with a few bottles of milk sitting just out of her reach. Outside on West Boulevard, life continued exactly as it always had. Cars passed, a radio played somewhere down the street, someone walked to the store. The world kept moving, completely unaware of what was happening inside that house. And the only thing that cut through that silence in the days that followed was the sound of a child crying, picked up by cameras on neighboring porches at all hours, going unanswered every time. On June 8th, Kristel boarded a Spirit Airlines flight from Detroit to San Juan, Puerto Rico. When she landed on the island, one of the first things she did was update her profile photo on social media with a caption declaring that time spent in pleasure is the only time truly lived. On June 9th, she was photographed standing on Isla Verde Beach in a white bodysuit against the clear turquoise water of the Atlantic, and she posted that photo for anyone who followed her to see. That same night, at 1:04 in the morning, one of those recordings captured what prosecutors would later present in court. A child crying from inside that house on West Boulevard, audible for several minutes, before going silent. I cannot listen to that recording without feeling something tighten in my chest, because what it captured is not just a sound. It is Jailyn, still believing that if she called out long enough, someone would come.
That you hear this child crying.
Medical professionals who reviewed this case later explained something important about children between 9 and 18 months of age. That developmental stage marks the absolute peak of separation anxiety, a specific kind of terror that is hardwired into a child at that age and that cannot be self-soothed. Jailyn was exactly 16 months old, squarely at the center of that window. On top of the physical agony of starvation and dehydration, she was experiencing the deepest fear a child that age is capable of. The fear that the one person she depended on completely was simply gone. The medical examiner determined that Jailyn Candelario died sometime between June 9th and June 13th, 2023.
So, Your Honor, with regards to Jailyn Candelario, she died a very awful death for being 16 months old. Dr. Elizabeth Mooney from the medical examiner's office is here and would like to make a statement. She was the medical examiner that did the autopsy, and the state of Ohio is going to provide you the autopsy and autopsy photographs to make this part of the sentencing record. Dr. Mooney.
For the record, we'll call this
State's Exhibit
1.
Good morning.
Hi, Doctor. For the record, could you say your name and spell it for the court reporter?
Yes, my name is Dr. Elizabeth Mooney, and it's spelled Mooney. I am currently employed by Cuyahoga County Medical Examiner's Office as a forensic pathologist and deputy medical examiner. In this capacity, I was assigned the task of performing an autopsy on little girl Jailyn Candelario in order to determine her cause and manner of death. Unfortunately, this is one of the most tragic and unfortunate cases I've had in my career thus far. So today I speak on behalf of her and her findings with the course of my examination. We received Jailyn at the medical examiner's office from the scene of her residence, at which time she was clothed in non-soiled clothing, indicating her body had likely been dressed prior to first responders' arrival, as they had mentioned before. So at autopsy, I examined the body of a very emaciated female toddler. At this point, she weighed 13 pounds. Upon review of medical records, this indicated approximately a 7-pound weight loss since her previous doctor's visit less than 2 months prior to that. The eyes were sunken, and she had temporal wasting in her face. In addition to that, the skin showed markedly decreased turgor, meaning when I pinch the skin, it remains in that tented position, indicating severe dehydration. In addition, there was abundant fecal material present caked on the fingers, the fingernails, the hands, the feet, as well as the soles of the feet. The same material was found on her lips, which were very dry and flaking, as well as in her oral cavity, caked to her teeth. She did have some diaper rash apparent, as well as fecal material adherent to those areas. Of note, the body was essentially free of significant injury, with the exception of dried excoriations or scratches to the face region predominantly, and whether or not these were inflicted to herself in a conscious or semi-conscious state while she was dying, I'm unable to determine that. Very early decompositional changes were present. This included faint discoloration or green discoloration of the abdomen. These are typically changes that we see within 2 to 3 days following death. No additional changes to suggest that she passed away prior to this were found externally or internally. Upon internal examination, I continued to find evidence consistent with starvation and dehydration. These included pale discoloration of the musculature, which was minimal. There was a decrease in intra-abdominal fat to the point of transparency as her body tried to feed upon itself for nutrients. Her stomach contents consisted of less than 2 milliliters of brown mucoid material. This is about equivalent to the distal part of my thumb, a very small amount. The rest of her bowel just contained patchy fecal material, but very minimal throughout. Her organs, including her liver, kidneys, and thymic gland, showed evidence of stress, specifically microscopically on exam. I found no additional evidence of significant natural disease going on or congenital abnormalities. Following my exam, I submitted body fluids for additional toxicology and chemistry testing, which further confirmed my gross findings that she had passed in a state of severe dehydration. Her kidneys had failed, and she was in a state of ketoacidosis, which leads to coma and eventually death. As such, I determined the cause of death to be just that, starvation and severe dehydration due to pediatric neglect. To come to the exact wording of the cause of death was based on my findings, but also the medical definitions, which I'd like to reiterate here. Dehydration, and specifically starvation, is a lengthy and continuous deprivation of food as to cause suffering or death. Pediatric neglect is the failure of a caregiver to meet adequately a child's basic needs, including physical safety, protection, food, clothing, shelter, education, medical or dental care, and supervision. In other words, neglect for Jailyn's basic needs from a caregiver resulted in her death. As such, I ruled this manner to be homicide. Most homicide deaths involve acts of violence inflicted from one person onto another, but this case involves a failure to act appropriately to support another who is dependent on them, falling into a homicidal manner. In the absence of more advanced decompositional changes, I believe that the pain and suffering she endured lasted not only hours, not days, but possibly even a week. This is a pain that comes from an extreme thirst and hunger. It also stems from an inherent terror of isolation or the lack of someone present to provide that. My knowledge on the depth of this suffering may not be as extensive as a medical or a mental health professional, but as a physician with psychiatric and pediatric training, I feel comfortable stating that the deprivation of food coupled with physical isolation and caregiver abandonment would be terrifying. We know that babies and children cry when they're hungry because it's unsettling and it's uncomfortable. That's almost immediately after birth. We also know that children as early as age 4 to 5 months experience separation anxiety, with the most extreme anxiety around 9 to 18 months. Jailyn was 16 months old. This feeling of abandonment for days on end, coupled with the pain of starvation and extreme thirst, is a type of suffering I don't think any of us could ever fully fathom. So, as a forensic pathologist, it is said that we are the voice of the dead and given the responsibility to speak for those who can't. So this morning, I'm honored to maintain that mission. Thank you.
On June 11th, Kristel flew back from Puerto Rico to the mainland, but she did not go home. She spent the following days in Michigan before finally returning to Cleveland on the morning of June 16th. A doorbell camera on West Boulevard captured her car pulling up at 7:36 in the morning, and 11 minutes after she walked inside, she called for emergency services. That call was the only moment in this entire story where Kristel sounded like a mother, screaming into the phone that her daughter was not breathing, that she needed help immediately.
Please, I need help. If I don't know where you're at, so tell me the address so we can help you. Let's say 129, West Lady Seven. Okay, is there a single floor apartment? Please. What's your name? Kristel. What's your last name, Kristel? Kristel Candelario, please tell me. What's the name? You just connected. Tell me what's going on. What's going on? I'll give you a few moments to calm down. Kristel. Please come to me so I can help you. She don't respond. She's white. You better hear her, please. It's 6:30. I'm expecting it. I understand you. Tell me who's white. Please. Your mom? Is it your mom? I am mom, yes. I am mom. You live here? I know it's started. I'm going to get you over in my room. Oh, my goodness. That's where you okay? Oh, my Jesus, mom.
Cleveland EMS, what's the address of your emergency?
Yes, 3129 West 97. Please help me. My daughter is, I don't know what happened, but she don't respond nothing. She don't respond. Please
Okay,
help
repeat
me.
that address for me, okay?
Please help me right now.
Okay, I'm trying to help you. I need that address.
3129 West 97, please.
Single home or apartment?
Please. I'm home.
Okay.
Yailin, aquí estoy. Si tienes...
Which phone number you're calling from?
I can explain it in English, please. Help me in Spanish.
Okay, are you with her now?
I am...
When emergency personnel arrived, Jailyn was lying in the playpen, dressed in clean clothing. Though investigators would later establish that Kristel had changed her daughter's clothes before anyone arrived, placing a clean outfit on a body whose condition told an entirely different story. The skin was ashen. The eyes had sunken deeply into the face. The lips were cracked and dry. The body already showed signs of rigor mortis, which indicated that Jailyn had been dead for several days before her mother opened that door. The people who responded to that call had worked difficult scenes before, but by their own account, the shock of what they found in that house was something different entirely. When the first officers sat down to speak with Kristel, she was completely calm, answering questions in a measured tone, occasionally shrugging her shoulders, while the body of her daughter lay covered by a blanket just a few feet away. She told officers that Jailyn had been vomiting earlier in the week and that she had given her Tylenol, a pain reliever that is not used to treat vomiting, and that she had heard her daughter crying in pain the previous night while she was in the shower and had simply gone to bed afterward, finding her unresponsive only that morning.
She speaks English, is just limited.
Oh, okay. Ma'am, my name is John Dayton. I'm a detective with the Cleveland Police Department. I'm very sorry about what's happened. I want to offer you my condolences. This is one of the hardest parts of our job, so we really, want to offer our condolences to you. I'm very sorry about what's happened here. Thank you. Mind if I pull up a chair? Could I have your name, please?
Yes, Kristel, Kristel, Candelario, Candelario.
Okay. And what is your birthday?
September 11, 1991.
Your phone number?
216-507-8828.
Do you have a social security number? What is the child's name?
Jailyn, Jailyn, and my last name the same, Candelario.
Okay.
Jailyn Candelario.
And her birthday?
January 26, 2022.
Where was she born? What
Where?
hospital? Yes, what hospital?
In Fairview Hospital.
Fairview Hospital. And did you have a doctor that she was seeing regularly? Like your family doctor?
No, we have like in the Western Fishing Center, like here in the Lorraine Avenue. It's like from Cleveland Clinic too. So we have the regular appointments in this center.
Where in that is where?
The West Town Plaza. It's like a
West Town Plaza.
Oh, right at 110th and Lorraine?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you have a doctor's name, or was there not a particular
No,
doctor?
in particular, sometimes they give me different, names of the doctors. So it depends, when they have available appointments.
So so there's a Cleveland Clinic at the West Town Shopping Center.
She got appointments in the past.
When was the last time she was at a doctor?
When she was with, 3 months ago, when she was, maybe, 2 or 3 months. Right now, actually, it's June. So almost 3 months.
3 months?
Yes, 3 months ago.
Problems with her stomach?
Regular before she was in emergency room in the Fairview Hospital.
When was that?
I don't remember the exactly day, but I think so. It's April or March or April. She was in emergency room.
Okay.
She get infection in her stomach. And she was with a lot of diarrhea. We put 2 diapers. I remember in the same moment because she's like a liquid every single time.
Okay.
So her weight is, I was showing to him like at the pictures, all the time she lose tiny. And she is almost, right now, she get 16 months in this month, June. So I told to the doctor the last time, I say she's really tiny for, for her age.
Yeah.
Because I remember I have other daughter and, I know the different way of the people is different, I know.
Yes.
But I say, she's so tiny, I don't know why. And she say, no, she's normal. That's, her, her body. That's not the problem.
Okay.
But in the past, in her clinical past, in emergency room, she was for diarrhea, for infection, different things, about the stomach.
Okay.
And the food too. I remember I give to her a milk, like the name is like clean. KLIM. I remember.
KLIM?
I remember
and that was
the
milk?
Not right now, but I give to her in the past.
Okay.
One time. My mom, she say, oh my God, don't buy any more this milk because it's really bad for Jailyn. I say, why? She get a vomiting. I say, what? It's a milk,
Yeah.
She doesn't have any allergies, any, problem with the food. But my skin is like she was with vomiting.
Okay. When you gave her the KLIM,
I
she was
don't
vomiting.
remember the exactly month, but probably 2 months ago.
And that's when she was vomiting 2 months ago?
Yeah. I buy because the doctor, she say, you can buy needle, you can give to her the regular meal. So I say, okay, we will try, clean because it's like the style of needle, like the same style.
Yeah.
So I was trying with clean and she get a vomiting, I remember. So different things I was looking in her, about in her system, about the food or, different things.
Did you carry her to full term or was she born?
In this, no.
What?
8 p.m. through 9 or 10 a.m.
Okay.
12 hours. So in this morning I was sleeping too. I never wake up. She was...
what happened? What was going on last night?
Last night she was crying a lot. And I see one moment when I was take a shower, and she was screaming like, I don't know, probably she get a pain.
Okay.
Maybe.
About what time was that last night?
Maybe at 7 or 8 p.m.
Okay.
So she was screaming like, probably for pain or something like that. In this morning when I wake up, I took her in the morning for Aileen, wake up, and she wake up, and when I see her, I see she looks like a really dry, like a, ¿cómo se dice cuando una persona se chupa? O sea, se
kind of like,
yeah.
Kind of like,
like her face was sunken in?
So, yeah. Y ahí fue
Okay.
que yo me asusté y dije.
The story did not hold up. The state of the body was not consistent with a child who had been sick for a few days, and the rigor mortis made the timeline impossible. Kristel was taken to the precinct for a more thorough interview.
¿Quién vive aquí? Él es el papá de mi hija mayor. ¿De 7 años? Sí. Oh, ok.
Sí, ella, entonces ayer yo estuve en el hospital desde el mediodía hasta las 5 o 6 de la tarde que me dieron un poco de alta porque me pusieron como sedantes. Yo normalmente sufro como que el sistema nervioso, migraña y todo eso.
Oh, con migraña.
Y como no había dormido ni comido, entonces me cogió una debilidad muy fuerte.
Before investigators even sat down with Kristel, she told them she had spent the previous night at the hospital, that she had experienced a panic attack and had been discharged just hours earlier. It was the first thing out of her mouth. Detectives noted it and kept moving.
Ella es hermana tuya.
Sí, es mi hermana
So
mayor.
just kind of catch up to what she said. She said last night she went to the hospital. She suffered some migraines, things like that. And she was released yesterday at 6 p.m. I asked her if she's notified her mom in Ecuador. She says the mother knows, but the father doesn't know because he's older and he's you don't want him to get ill from this news. This is the aunt. She is the sister of her mom. Who's in Ecuador. And then this gentleman here is the father of her 7-year-old daughter who's in Ecuador. Do you speak English?
No.
Okay.
While Kristel was being processed, investigators turned their attention to the people around her, starting with the man who had once shared a life with her and knew her better than most. Jailyn's older sister Amia had a different father, and he was right there in Cleveland. Detectives wanted to know what he had seen, what he knew, and whether anyone in Kristel's circle had noticed anything that might explain what had happened inside that house.
So I'm asking him, does he know of any babysitter who would watch the kids when she needed, aside from her parents? He doesn't know of any babysitter. He doesn't know of any babysitter. I asked him what she does for a living. She's a teacher. He says somewhere on the east side. He doesn't know what grade she teaches, but she teaches somewhere on the east side.
When investigators described what Jailyn looked like when they found her, the sunken eyes, the weight loss, the bones visible beneath the skin, the man sitting across from them listened and said little. He had not been part of Jailyn's life. He had not been part of Kristel's life for some time. Whatever was happening inside that house, it had been happening without him knowing, and without anyone who did no choosing to stop it.
A brand new investigation. Well, we can tell you a little bit. We can tell you that the child, you could see the bones in her body.
Yeah.
You could see her bones.
That's what she was saying.
Her face was
A rib cage.
her face was like this.
That's why in the picture, that's why I should have seen that picture.
Completely.
I feel like I told you that little girl.
Well, it's not something you want to hear, but it's definitely something that kind of took us back a bit too when we saw her. We were a bit like we weren't like expecting that. Yeah. So right now, all signs point to there's some type of neglect going on here. But it's our duty to
investigate.
Right, exactly.
And your sister.
And I don't want you to be surprised when we come in here and we put cuffs on her. We don't want to do that. You know what I mean?
No.
You know, we want to tell you what we're doing. They've
been gone since June 1st. So the last person who would have been in contact with Jailyn would have been fine.
Does she have anybody else that she talks to? Any friends? Any close friends? Anybody that she hangs out with that you know of?
No, we don't know. That's the
Like the secret.
that's a question mark.
I'll let you know what's over here. Okay, so you respond to every child fatality. Every time there's a death that involves a child, we respond to that. And we investigate it. Okay, and sometimes we get evidence right away. Sometimes we get evidence. It takes a little bit for us to get evidence. Based on the evidence that we've discovered so far, we have been advised by the prosecutor to place you under arrest for child endangering children. You'll have an opportunity to give your side of the story. If we'll go downtown, you can tell us if you want to talk to us. I'm more than happy to listen to what you have to say. That'll be your opportunity to tell us exactly what's happened here. Okay? And then from there, we're not going to go to your house, but we'd rather use the key than bang on the door and damage the door. And then we're going to take this car as well, for now. Okay?
Just put your hands behind your back for me right now.
Investigators had seen enough. Based on the evidence already in front of them, the Cuyahoga County Prosecutor's Office advised that there was sufficient grounds for an arrest. Kristel was taken into custody on charges of child endangerment. At the precinct, she was given the opportunity to explain herself, and she took it, holding to the version of events she had constructed at the house, adjusting the details as needed, filling the gaps with whatever seemed plausible in the moment. The cameras she didn't know about were already filling those same gaps with something far more reliable than her memory. Investigators began working through 648 hours of Ring camera footage from the surrounding neighborhood, going through it frame by frame until a complete picture emerged. The footage showed Kristel leaving the house with luggage. It showed that on the days she claimed to have been home caring for her daughter, her car was never there. Highway cameras placed her in Michigan. A Spirit Airlines booking confirmed the flight to Puerto Rico. Her own social media account, with its geotags and time-stamped posts, answered the remaining questions. The man she had been with in Puerto Rico gave a voluntary statement to investigators confirming the dates, locations, and details of the trip.
Disculpe, ¿usted estuvo allá?
Sí.
¿Sí?
Y él también.
¿Cómo estaba la niña?
So he's asking me if we were at the house yesterday, and I said yes, both of us were. So he says, how did we find the baby? I'm just going to tell him that she was, so nosotros encontramos la niña bien flaquita. Bien flaquita, tan flaquita que se le veían los huesitos. No. Se le veían los huesitos, o sea, se le como no, entonces la carita estaba como bien flaquita. No. Así la encontramos.
Mire, nosotros tenemos una teoría de que pensamos que ella la dejó sola.
He's saying, I just told him, that she looked very skinny, so much so that you can see her bones, and her face was sort of sucked in a little bit. And he says that they were thinking, they had kind of had a theory that she was leaving her alone. They were just kind of thinking that. ¿Desde cuándo ustedes están pensando eso?
Desde ayer.
Oh, since yesterday, because they realized that they were being lied to, especially that the family was over there for 15 days, and Kristel had just told him that they left yesterday. He started thinking she probably left the child alone all these times. You know what I mean?
Ella nos dijo que se venía en la madrugada, o sea, ayer se vino, porque los papás ayer se iban para Ecuador, supuestamente.
She said that she was telling them that she had to leave at 5:30 in the morning because the parents allegedly were leaving that morning, which was yesterday morning.
Okay. Los papás tienen 15 días en Ecuador y ella esos 15 días se lo ha pasado, de esos 15 días, 13 días en Detroit y 2 días aquí. Ponte, suposición.
He says those 15 days that her mother has been in Ecuador, she has spent more time in Detroit, like maybe 13 out of those 15 days in Detroit.
The man she stayed with in Michigan after returning from the island also cooperated with investigators, and according to his account, when he found out what had happened, he could not bring himself to eat. Kristel had no such difficulty. When investigators laid out what they had found, she changed her story, and then changed it again, and at one point claimed she did not understand English and requested an interpreter. despite having answered questions in English without any apparent difficulty just an hour earlier.
So, I need you to be honest with me. At any point from Thursday night to Friday was Jailyn left unattended?
Yeah, so from what day to what day?
Because she said Thursday night she put her to bed. So from Thursday night at 9 p.m. to 7:20 a.m. on Friday, at any point was Jailyn left unattended?
Okay.
Con supervision.
So, desde el jueves que la pusiste a dormir, sí, hasta el viernes que la encontraste, ¿en algún momento ella estaba ahí sola?
No. O sea, dentro del cuarto.
¿Sola en la casa?
No, yo estaba ahí.
No, I was there.
So you was there the entire time? Okay, alright. At any point did you leave?
Cuando yo salía o cuando yo me movilizaba, yo la cogía a ella, salía con ella.
No, whenever I would leave, I would take her with me.
Y ustedes se pueden dar cuenta cuando ustedes entraron a la casa, el car seat estaba ahí. Y si no hubiera estado en mi carro, y yo pues no hubiera estado en la casa.
So is it safe to say what you're stating is when you would leave, Jailyn would go with you?
Yes.
Alright.
So let me ask you this. Thursday to Friday. Okay, so from Thursday, the minute you put the baby to sleep, okay? Desde que tú pusiste a la nena a dormir el viernes, el jueves, de la noche,
sí,
hasta el viernes que la encontraste. Did you leave your house at any time?
Sí.
You did leave your house? No. Did you leave? ¿Tú fuiste de tu casa? ¿Algún momento te fuiste de la casa y no estabas en la casa?
No.
¿Algún momento desde el jueves de la noche hasta el viernes que la encontraste?
No, todo el tiempo estaba ahí.
No saliste para ningún lado?
No.
So she never left the house from Thursday night till Friday when she found her daughter, when she discovered her daughter. She never left the house.
Hours into the interrogation, the story she had been maintaining was no longer holding together. She had told them she was home all week, then that she had stepped out briefly, then that Jailyn had been alone for no more than 5 minutes. Each version created new inconsistencies that the footage would resolve without her input. Investigators kept going, methodically, without raising their voices. They already knew where this was heading.
Can you explain to me why your car is coming from Lorraine Avenue on June 16th, the day that we were at your house?
Yes.
Okay, at 7:36 in the morning, and parks in front of your house?
Because you can see on the table, I put the crane of the desiccant because I buy a new one. And you can see it's all disclosed, the carton or the container of the cream.
Okay.
So I was buying a new one for her.
Desiccant?
Yeah, but I never but really in the morning, no 7:30.
Okay, so
before 7:30 because I was.
Okay, so I'm going to talk in Spanish. Tenemos tu carro viniendo de la Lorraine Avenue a las 7:36 de la mañana.
Sí, pues ahora
parqueando enfrente de tu casa.
Sí, porque fue a comprar la desiccant que estás enfrente ahí de la mesa principal, que yo la puse rápido ahí y subí.
Okay, so you're telling me that you left your house to go get some desiccant. Where did you buy the desiccant?
¿Cómo?
¿Dónde la compraste?
En la farmacia.
In the pharmacy, where?
Sí.
What pharmacy?
I don't remember the pharmacy. I don't remember the exactly pharmacy, but
It was open early in the morning?
yeah, really early in the morning because yo necesitaba la crema pensando que ella seguía con el rash.
So you went to buy the cream, but let me ask you this, when you got up, did you check on the baby before you went out the door?
Yo la chequeé, sí,
pero
ella no estaba, o sea, para mí ella estaba de lado al principio.
She was on her side.
Pero después ya la vi que estaba enfrente.
And then she was on her back?
No estaba, de frente, así de frente.
She was laying like this.
Sí.
Okay. Right, so when you got up off the bed, right, before you went to go buy Desitin at 7:36 in the morning, did you check on the baby? ¿Chequeaste la nena?
No, antes no.
You didn't check on the baby?
No, porque ella siempre que yo la chequeaba, ella se movía y se levantaba.
Okay, so you woke up.
Entonces cuando yo
checked on the baby, you went and got the Desitin, and then you came back, and then you checked on the baby.
Sí, cuando yo regreso y la chequeo a la niña, fue que ahí fue esa hora, exactamente, no sé si en el 911 sale la llamada exacta de la hora que yo la hice, que fue cuando ya pasó todo.
You woke up at 7:20. Then you went to this pharmacy. Where's it located at?
Which pharmacy did you go to?
No recuerdo bien, pero es una que está por... No sé las calles exactamente, por eso no lo puedo decir, pero... Era...
Is it a CVS, a Rite Aid, a Walgreens? Which one?
I remember... like a Walgreens, I think so. I don't remember exactly the street.
By this point in the interrogation, investigators had laid out enough of what they knew to make the direction of the conversation unmistakable. Kristel had shifted her story more than once, from being home all week, to stepping out briefly for diaper cream, to leaving Jailyn alone for no more than 5 minutes. Each version left a new set of questions that the footage was going to answer whether she wanted it to or not. She remained calm throughout. That calm was itself something investigators noted.
Who was in the house? Who stayed in the house while you went out to go buy Desitin? Who was there with Jailyn?
Con Jailyn nadie estuvo ahí.
Nobody?
No.
So Jailyn was by herself?
Por casi que 5 minutos, porque yo no me demoré casi
5 minutes. Okay, so the video is going to show you leaving your house 5 minutes, right? 5 minutes before you bought the Desitin, and then showing you come back at 7:36. The video is going to show you leaving 5 minutes before, right? Because the same video is going to show us you leaving and coming back. Okay, it's going to show us both. It's going to show us you leaving and coming back. So it's going to show us the time that you left and the time that you came back. So what time did you leave the house to go buy the Desitin?
No recuerdo exactamente la hora.
No recuerdo.
Solo sé que me levanté 7:20 y...
She knows that she woke up at 7:20 in the morning.
Woke up at 7:20. You immediately just go to the pharmacy.
To go buy it. What I'm telling her is that same video is going to provide to us the information we need, whether Jailyn was left alone for 5 minutes, Jailyn was left alone for a day, Jailyn was left alone for 2 days. That video is going to tell us that information. So this is your opportunity to tell us the truth. If Jailyn was left alone for a certain amount of time, this is the time for you to tell us.
So Kristel, I need you to be honest with us. Did you leave and go anywhere and leave Jailyn unattended? Like, did you go visit someone? Because we're going to retrieve camera footage, and I'd rather for you to be honest with us now if you did, versus we find out later and then, don't want to run the risk of you getting, possibly getting in more trouble.
We have you on video. Your car coming home at 7:36 in the morning. What time are we going to see you leaving your house, and when? What's the video going to show us? When we look at this video some more, it's not live. What is the video going to show us? Is the video going to show us that you left your house on Friday? Because it's showing you coming back. But when is it showing you leaving? Because we're going to look at the video and it's going to show us and it's not going to lie. Think about your answer.
Investigators told her directly. They had her car on camera leaving and returning. They had timestamps. They had a timeline. What they were offering her now was the chance to put her version of that timeline on the record before the footage did it for her. It was a professional courtesy extended to someone who had not extended the same to her own daughter.
We came here today, we already knew that you had left your house.
Myself and Sergeant Gomez, I don't think you're a bad person. Sometimes good people make bad decisions. You know, and
Yo siempre la cuida a mi hija, te lo prometo. I promise you I've taken care of my daughter.
No, you don't sound like a bad person at all, Tim.
Nosotros no estamos diciendo que tú eres una persona mala. Tú estás aquí por peligro infantil. That's all. Ask her a question. Please think about it really well before you answer. Okay? Were you home Monday through Friday of this week? Tú estuviste en su casa lunes a viernes esta semana. O nosotros vamos a ver que tú te fuiste el lunes y regresaste el viernes. Sí. So my question to her is, were you at home Monday through Friday of this week? Or am I going to see on video that you were not home that whole week? Okay, y la respuesta tuya es, your answer is?
Sí,
sí, bueno.
bien.
¿Qué vamos a ver?
Que estaba ausente.
Que estaba ausente.
Sí.
You're going to see that I was absent.
What is it?
Explícame. She was with some friends in Detroit. Detroit where?
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan?
Yeah.
Kristel said she had not planned any of it, that she had grabbed a few things and left on impulse, without thinking clearly about what she was leaving behind. But the diaper bag in the closet told a different story. So did the crib filled with toys instead of bedding. So did the bottles of milk left just out of reach of a child who had no way to get to them on her own. An impulse does not pack a suitcase. An impulse does not book a flight. What was left behind in that house was not an oversight. It was a choice. When they went through the house, investigators noted one more detail that stayed with them. There was almost nothing in that home that was suitable for a child Jailyn's age. It was not the home of a child who was being waited for. On June 19, 2023, Kristel Candelario was arrested and charged with murder, aggravated murder, felonious assault, and child endangerment. Her bond was set at $1 million.
A mother is in jail facing a murder charge after police say she admitted to leaving her baby home alone for more than a week. Tonight, we are hearing from devastated neighbors who used to babysit her.
She was always happy, always playing and smiling and laughing.
Pictures and happy memories. That's all neighbors have of 16-month-old Jailyn Candelario.
I absolutely loved her. She was like a little sister to me.
Sulem and her mom Iris didn't want to show their faces. They said the first time they met Jailyn was last August. They were supposed to watch her only a few days, but they said her mom didn't return for a month and a half.
I was the one calling her, look, I need milk, I need money. I don't have no money to buy milk for you, baby. What am I supposed to do?
Fast forward to this month, and Kristel Candelario is charged with her daughter Jailyn's murder. Court documents show the 31-year-old admitted to leaving her baby home alone June 8th while she went on vacation to Puerto Rico and Detroit. When Candelario returned home 8 days later, police say she found Jailyn unresponsive.
We were absolutely heartbroken. We loved Jailyn a lot.
Iris and Sulem wish Candelario would have asked them to watch Jailyn.
I wish for her to pay what she did to her daughter.
Instead, they're left with an investigation and reminders of Jailyn's many visits.
Jailyn really didn't deserve what happened to her. She was amazing and really adorable, and I miss her a lot.
Just a horrific story. A medical examiner will determine Jailyn's exact cause of death. Meantime, Candelario is being held at the Cuyahoga County Jail on a $1 million bond. She's expected in court next week.
During the months of pretrial investigation, while Kristel was being held in custody, she gave an interview from jail in which she revealed something that is difficult to absorb even now. At some point during the trip, somewhere between Puerto Rico and Michigan, she said she had a moment where she thought about calling a neighbor or a family member and asking them to go check on Jailyn. That thought crossed her mind. She chose not to make the call. One phone call would have saved Jailyn's life. That is what I find hardest to sit with in this case. Not that she left, not the beach photos, but that specific moment when she almost did the right thing and consciously decided not to. That was not a mental health crisis in that moment. That was a choice. Phone calls from a detention facility are recorded, and on November 26, 2023, Kristel called a friend from jail. The conversation covered the Puerto Rico trip in detail, how good the food had been, whether they had rented a car or a truck, and what it had cost, how one of the people on the trip had spent too much money. Jailyn's name was never mentioned. On January 6, 2024, she called her mother, and after a conversation about God and forgiveness, Kristel made a statement that was later played in open court. She said there were people who had killed intentionally and walked free, and that what had happened in her case was practically an accident, that she had not used a weapon, that her daughter had not bled, and that it was essentially the same as something that had happened to her not long before. When the prosecution played that recording at sentencing, Assistant Prosecutor Anna Faraglia asked a single question in response. Had Kristel been starved in Puerto Rico? Had she gone without water when her throat was dry?
And I mean that day that it happened, that same situation happened. Were you starved when you were in Puerto Rico, Miss Candelario? Did you not have a glass of water to drink when your mouth was parched?
On February 22, 2024, 4 days before trial was scheduled to begin, Kristel Candelario accepted a plea agreement. She pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and child endangerment, with the remaining charges dropped. She had held out until the very last possible moment, and she agreed only when the weight of the evidence made any other path impossible. The sentencing hearing took place on March 18, 2024, and in that courtroom, detectives, the medical examiner, the prosecution, defense counsel, and Kristel's family all spoke.
Okay, good morning. We're here today on the state of Ohio versus Kristel Candelario. That's you, Ms. Candelario. This is case number 23-682-241. Representing you, Ms. Candelario, is Mr. Derek Smith and Mr. PJ Mulligan. And representing the state of Ohio is Ms. Anna Ferrelia and Ms. Jordan Mason. Before we start, we had the and we have Mr. and all the receipts and is here. You've been involved with the court. Your training has been reviewed by the court, and you are later in the national judiciary to transfer that is responsibility and you can review in the court. Prior to you understand that you are being controlled party with your facility litigation, then you offer device or review so that's right, you are being controlled. So raise your hand. You solemnly swear that you will aggravate, completely, using the same the word same trial, follow the trial, legal jury, discharge all solemnly using the all right. So we're here today for a sentencing hearing. Ms. Candelario, on February the 22nd, you pled guilty to count 1, which is titled aggravated murder and unclassified felony, which is potential sentence of life with parole eligibility after 20 years, life with parole eligibility after 25 years, life with parole eligibility after 30 years, or life without parole. You also pled guilty to count 5, endangering children, which is a felony of the 2nd degree, which is punishable by 2 to 8 years and or a $15,000 fine. And there's also the Reagan-Tokes advisements I advised you of, which is whatever sentence this court imposes on count 5 must be served 50% of that number. So we went through that at the plea, so you understand that. At that time of the plea, we requested a pre-sentence investigation report. We received a report from Michael Rahm, R-A-H-M, on February the 28th. I shared it with both the state and the defense. Ms. Ferrelia, Mr. Smith, have you had a chance to review this report?
I have, Your Honor.
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
Any additions or corrections to this report by either party?
No, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
I also have received sentencing memorandums and mitigation reports from the defense by Mr. Smith and Mr. Milligan, And I also received a state sentencing memorandum by Ms. Ferrelia. With that being said, is there any additions or corrections that this court needs to review?
With regards to the briefs, no, Your Honor.
The briefs, yes.
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Candelario, are you ready to proceed to sentencing?
Yes, Your Honor.
That being said, this is the procedure we're going to follow. I'm going to turn to the state first. Ms. Ferrelia, you'll put on your sentencing hearing and allow you to present evidence and victim impact statements. And then when I hear from the state and all the state's representatives, I'll turn to the defense. I'll hear from you, Mr. Smith, and anyone who wishes to speak on behalf of Ms. Candelario. And then I'll hear from you, Ms. Candelario, and then I'll impose my sentence, okay? That's how we're going to operate. So with that being said, Ms. Ferrelia, are you ready to proceed?
I am, Your Honor. Thank you. Good morning, Your Honor. We're here on a very tragic case. The state of Ohio has prepared a PowerPoint presentation because the state wants you, when you impose your sentence, that you look at Kristel Candelario's actions. And anybody that knows me or has been in this courthouse would know that I talk about actions in all my cases, because as adults, we are responsible for our actions and there are consequences to our actions. So let us begin on this faithful day that Jailyn Candelario lost her life. If in fact we would have gone to trial, the evidence was going to show that Kristel Candelario left the state of Ohio on 6/4/2023. She leaves because there is a receipt that's found in her car that she is in Taylor, Michigan. Unbeknownst to Ms. Candelario, her neighbors had Ring doorbell, and the Cleveland Police Department Homicide Unit has gone through 648 hours and videos of the Ring doorbell, which you're going to see in this presentation. With regards to Ms. Candelario, she returns to Cuyahoga County on 6/6 at 7:41 a.m. So at this particular point, we have reason to believe that this child was left alone for 2 days now, and she returns on 6/6/2023. Additional cameras show her again at 11:51 on 6/6 and on 5/24 of 6/6. She is taking a suitcase and now leaving Cuyahoga County. We have a map and a flock camera which shows her on, I believe it's Lafayette and Charter, northbound, at 6/6 at 20.05, which is 8:05 p.m., and that's a flock camera. Through the search warrants, we were able to retrieve her Spirit airline tickets that showed her departure and her return from Puerto Rico. She was gone from 6/8 to 6/11. And it's interesting, Your Honor, because in the defense memorandum, it says that her abrupt stopping of medications played a significant role in her ability to function as a parent and make sound decisions. So when we look at, these are items from her phone, her actions indicate to us that she is in Puerto Rico having a good time with friends, and that there is not a care in the world about the 16-month-old that was left alone in the pack and play. These pictures show somebody who is showing some discretion and judgment because she's having a good time. Meanwhile, this child is in a pack and play. She returns to Detroit, and while she is in Puerto Rico, the detectives were able to locate on the Ring doorbell that on 6/9/2023 at around 1:04 a.m. in the morning that you hear this child crying. So now we have Ms. Candelario's car. She's returned from from Puerto Rico back to Michigan, where she was with one fellow and then traveled to go see another fellow traveled to Imlay, Michigan to be with another fellow. So that's from 6:12 to 6:15. Her car is found on all these flock cameras. Not once is she returning to Cuyahoga County. Now we turn our attention to June 16th at 7:36 a.m. She is back in Cuyahoga County. Her car reappears in front of her house. She goes in and she finds her daughter dead. She takes the time to redress her, and then she calls 911.
Friday, June 16, 2023, 07:47 and 26 seconds. Please release dispatching public call if you need police, fire, or EMS. Please you need police, fire, or EMS. What's the address? What's the address? 129 West 87. 3129 West 87. Hello? Please, I need help. Okay, I can't help you if I don't know where you're at, so tell me the address so we can help you. 129 West 87. Okay, is it a single, double, or an apartment? Please. What's your name? Kristel. What's your last name, Kristel? Kristel Candelario, please tell me. And what's your number in case you get the What's your last number? Disconnected. Please. 507-882. Tell me what's going on. She was so opportunity. What's going on? Okay, now, let me give you the calm down. Now you should tell me what happened. Okay, I'm going to give you a few moments to calm down. Kristel. Please listen to me so I can help you. She don't respond. She's blind. Who's white? You mentioned her husband, but that's disparity. I can't speak English. I understand you. Tell me who's white. Please. Your mom? Is that your mom? I'm a mom, yes. I'm a mom. Do you live here? I know you need Are your mother dying? She's dying. She's dying. I don't know what she was supposed to happen. Please, I need help. How old is she? She's almost 16 months. Please, can you help me? Okay, I'm gonna get you over to Emma. Oh my goodness. That's where we're supposed to be, okay?
And then she's so overwrought with emotion on June 17th that she picks up and goes back to Michigan to meet up not with the guy that she had gone to Puerto Rico with, but the other guy that she was seeing. And in her house during a search warrant, there was found this notebook that had written harm from neglect. This is the location where Jailyn was housed for 10 days without anybody being present, any adult, in a 3x2 pack and play with maybe a bottle or two of milk and maybe some crackers. And the mattress that was found was urine-laden and feces strewn throughout the pack and play. Now, this is where it begins, Your Honor. I come from an Italian Catholic family, and both my parents were immigrants and they spoke broken English. And we have this good interpreter that has been with us during this whole case. This is the very first interview, the crying of the 911, and this is the first interview that she has with a detective from homicide. Again, pay attention to her actions and how she speaks to this detective.
But in the last week, she get a vomiting too. Remember right now when you mentioned the vomiting. She get a vomiting the last week, Monday and Tuesday, two times. But I was trying controlling because I know I give to her Tylenol or something, you know, for controlling the vomiting.
Okay.
Come
on, sir. This is my supervisor, Sergeant Gomez.
Pedialytic too, I give to her when she get a diarrhea or vomiting. Hola, ¿qué tal?
Soy la sargento Gómez por el departamento de la orina de UCI.
Well, just to take note, Your Honor, she's sitting in the
So
chair,
yeah, that's
and the baby
the
is
situation,
covered with the white
and
sheet
after
in
that,
front of her feet.
she was refusing to do the food, and she was with no appetite. I say, oh my God.
This is after last Monday and Tuesday when she was throwing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you talking about Monday and Tuesday like 4 days ago?
Yeah,
Okay.
last week, yes.
Okay.
Yes. Because we almost done this week, so I talk about,
Because what this week?
This week. Yeah, I talk about because we almost done, you know, the
Oh, we're almost done with this week.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that was just Monday and Tuesday of this week. She was throwing up.
Yes.
And then how was she Wednesday and Thursday?
She was with no food, just with the meal because she was refusing. Maybe it's because she get a vomiting 2 days, before.
Yeah.
So that's why I was scary because I say, oh my God, I need to go to the hospital because she doesn't eat anything, and she was lose tiny, her weight. I lose, her weight. But right now, in this morning when I wake up, she was asleep. She sleep every day 12 hours.
Okay.
She sleep like at 9, 8 p.m. to 9 or 10 a.m.
Okay.
12 hours. So, in this morning I was sleeping too. I never wake up. She was...
What happened? What was going on last night?
Last night she was crying a lot. And I see one moment when I was take a shower, and she was screaming like, I don't know, probably she get a pain.
Okay.
Maybe.
About what time was that last night?
Maybe at 7 or 8 p.m.
Okay.
So she was screaming like, probably for pain or something like that. In this morning when I wake up, I took her in the morning for, Jailyn, wake up, ta, 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 ta. And she wake up, and when I see her, I see she looks like a really, really dry, like a, ¿cómo se dice cuando una persona se chupa? O sea,
Kind of like.
Yeah.
Oh, like her face was sunken in?
So, yeah. Y ahí fue que yo me asusté y dije, yeah.
And then she is then brought into homicide. She's arrested and brought into homicide and has another conversation with Sergeant Gomez and Detective Powell, and she continues now to perpetuate her lies.
What time did you go to Detroit, Michigan on Monday? Monday morning? Okay. On Monday morning, what condition was Jailyn in?
She was okay.
She was okay? Was she awake, asleep?
No, she was sleeping.
She was asleep when you left? Sorry. You went there on Monday at what time?
Maybe 7 a.m.
In the morning?
Yeah.
Okay. 7, 8.
Like every evening, I don't remember exactly.
Early in the morning?
Yeah.
But when you left out, Jailyn was sleeping in her playpen? Okay. So, you go to Michigan. What time did you arrive in Michigan?
You say through here?
¿A qué hora te llegaste a Michigan?
No, ahora con 30 minutos, 2 hours and 30 minutes.
2 hours, 30 minutes? Okay. So you get there, when you arrive there, who do you deal with?
Yo llegué a un hotel, pero yo trabajaba de Uber, así que yo me puse a trabajar directamente en Uber.
She stayed at a hotel and she right away started working at Uber.
Pero ya después fui a visitar a otras amistades alrededor.
She went to visit some friends. Who?
Y
Who did you go visit?
amistades.
Who? Give me a name.
David, that's the name.
David?
Yeah.
Okay. So you arrived in 2 hours later, you get a hotel. Where did you stay?
No me recuerdo bien la ciudad que estaba ni el hotel.
Okay, come on. You went to Detroit, Michigan. You don't know what city, you don't know what hotel. You gotta come out with something better than that.
No,
Okay.
pero el hotel donde él se estaba hospedando,
No.
Super Gay.
Where you were staying, not David, where you were staying. We're not talking about David.
Super Gay, that's it.
Super 8?
Yeah.
Alright, so you arrived in 2 hours later, you stayed at Super 8. You mentioned something about Uber?
Yo estaba trabajando en Uber, sí.
She was working Uber. Why would you go, hold on. Why would you go work Uber in Detroit, Michigan,
Porque yo
instead of doing it here in Cleveland,
Sí, porque
where your daughter is?
yo también trabajaba aquí en Uber, aquí en Cleveland.
Okay, but why go over there, not do it here? Why not do it here? Your daughter's here.
Porque me iba a ver amistades también en Michigan,
She
entonces
was working some
aproveché.
friends over there in Michigan, so she took advantage of the fact that she was over there to visit me, but she worked over there.
Pero no era siempre que yo lo hacía.
But not always. That's not, she didn't do that always.
Okay, don't take this the wrong way. At what point did you think that it would make sense to leave her here while you was in Detroit?
Él se ganó cuarto de la manera mal, pero ¿en qué momento tú pensaste que está bien
Por pasear, por
to travel,
por pasear,
Why not travel with you?
¿Por qué no llevaste a ella contigo?
porque yo pensaba regresar el viernes y ya quedarme con ella, o sea, era algo rápido, eventual, que no...
She said that because she had planned on returning on Friday and spending time with them, so
Porque no me iba a quedar en la casa de nadie.
she wasn't going to stay in anybody's house.
But why not bring her with you if you already knew that she had a condition going on at the time?
Si tú sabías que ella tenía una condición, estaba enfermita,
She needed
¿por qué no llevarla contigo?
Porque por eso mismo, por yo pasear, por...
She wanted to have a good time and travel.
And this is the second interview that she had.
cash in your wallet to purchase the playpen. Okay, but you took out money from the ATM machine, that's what you used. Okay.
Siempre la uso para
Alright, so let's just start, we're gonna wrap up some stuff here real quick. Okay, so, you were at your house in June 16th, okay, the day you were there. You woke up at 7:20 in the morning, right?
Él me estaba diciendo acerca de que tiene todo mi seguimiento.
¿Tengo qué?
Él me dijo hace un momento, bueno, en inglés,
¿Qué tiene qué?
que debe tener mi seguimiento de donde yo me movilicé y todo eso.
Yeah, we have you on video, your car coming home at 7:36 in the morning. What time are we gonna see you leaving your house and when? What's the video gonna show us? When we look at this video some more,
Okay.
okay? Cuando nosotros empezamos a ver el video, okay? ¿Qué ese video nos va a enseñar a nosotros? ¿A qué hora tú saliste de tu casa y cuándo? Nos está enseñando tú regresando a las 7:36 de la mañana. Pero a qué hora tú te fuiste. ¿Y qué día? Piénsalo bien, porque el video, el video no miente. Okay? I'm telling you, think about it really good because the video does not lie. What is the video going to show us? Is the video going to show us that you left your house on Friday? Because it's showing you coming back, but when is it showing you leaving? Because we're going to look at the video and it's going to show us and it's not going to lie. Think about your answer. Think about your answer.
So I'll explain to Chris, I'll say this is the time
Y esto es la oportunidad tuya para decirnos la verdad, porque nosotros vamos a ver el video.
Sí,
Y si no nos está diciendo la verdad, lo vamos a ver. Y vamos a ver que tú no estás mintiendo.
Sí, y él ya me está diciendo que va a haber más problemas al respecto.
Va a empezar los problemas.
So, Your Honor, with regards to Jailyn Candelario, she died a very awful death for being 16 months old. Dr. Elizabeth Mooney from the medical examiner's office is here and would like to make a statement. She was the medical examiner that did the autopsy, and the state of Ohio is going to provide you the autopsy and autopsy photographs to make this part of the sentencing record. Dr. Mooney?
Thank you.
In addition, Your Honor, just so the record is very clear, the state of Ohio has tried repeatedly to contact Jailyn's extended family, and absolutely no one has called the prosecutor's office, has returned a call from the prosecutor's office, has done nothing to acknowledge that Jailyn was even part of their family. So if people come in this morning, it's going to be on the side of Kristel Candelario, because on the part of Jailyn, in addition to Dr. Mooney, who speaks for the dead through autopsy findings, Sergeant Teresa Gomez and Detective TJ Powell are going to speak to you. As you also look behind me, it is law enforcement, whether it be from Cleveland Homicide, from the FBI, from the district, from EMS. These are all the people that participated in this case, and that they are here to be the family for Jailyn Candelario, because her own family did not have the courage to call the prosecutor's office and ask what was going on with their case. They were more concerned with their own daughter. TJ is going to, Sergeant is going to speak first. Do you want her to come to the podium?
Absolutely. Same thing, Sergeant, just say your name and spell it for our court reporter so she can Have an accurate spelling.
Teresa Gomez, Teresa Gomez. Good morning, Your Honor. Your Honor, thank you for allowing me to be the voice for Jailyn Candelario, a beautiful angel whose life was cut short for no good reason. This tragedy should have never happened. I am Sergeant Gomez from the Homicide Unit. The entire Homicide Unit, Cleveland Homicide Initiative, and our partners from the FBI are here today in honor of baby Jailyn Candelario. When we were first notified of this horrific case, we were all heartbroken. But when we started digging deeper into the investigation, it was beyond horrific. It was revealed that the defendant, Kristel Candelario, left her own child alone for hours, which led to days, which led to weeks. This 16-month-old baby was left alone in a pack and play to fend for herself for 11 days with no food, maybe milk, the clothing she had on, and the diaper she was wearing. This baby loved her mother, she needed her mother, and her mother betrayed her. Mothers usually want their children to have a long, happy life, but Candelario placed more importance on a vacation in Puerto Rico with her boyfriend than the health, safety, and well-being of her own daughter. She chose to satisfy her own needs and desires over that of her own child. Jailyn's life ended because of her selfishness and disregard for Jailyn's precious life. Candelario violated Jailyn yet again when she placed her little body in a clean outfit in order to orchestrate this facade that she was trying to portray for the investigators, either before or after she called 911. But Jailyn told us something different when we saw her eyes sunk in and wide open. We later learned that sunken eyes is a result of severe dehydration. To the naked eye, it appeared she had dirt in her mouth and fingernails. It wasn't until the next day that detectives learned that the dirt in fact was feces. Detectives also began to gain clarity as to what really happened to Jailyn. Candelario's fabricated story, which she initially told detectives, began to unravel. There's no way things could have left Jailyn by herself for more than 10 days. Many hours of video surveillance revealed all of the comings and goings of Candelario from June 5th through June 16th of 2023, when she discovered her daughter deceased. Investigators watched a total of 628 surveillance videos, which also included audio. On June 9th, audio surveillance captured the final time Jailyn is ever heard crying. Myself and the people sitting behind me, many who are mothers and fathers, are tormented by the thought of what Jailyn endured and what her last hours on earth were like. Any of us and thousands of others would have jumped at the opportunity to take care of this beautiful little girl. Jailyn died a long and agonizing death, afraid and alone, while her mother enjoyed the beach and sunshine. This is a case that myself, all the people behind me, and everyone around the world will have branded in our minds and in our hearts forever. Jailyn took her last breath, and our only hope is that Jailyn found herself in the arms of Jesus, feeling his warm embrace and love, something she did not receive from her mother. Jailyn, you will never be forgotten. Thank you, Your Honor.
And Detective Powell.
Same thing, detective, if you don't mind, just please say and spell your first and last name.
Yes, Detective T.J. Powell, P-O-W-E-L-L, assigned to the Cleveland Police Homicide Unit. I was the lead detective investigator on this case, and I can honestly say, Your Honor, in my 17-year career as a Cleveland police officer, this by far is the most horrific case I've ever had to investigate, Now, I've been a detective for 10 years. First and foremost, I want to thank the entire homicide unit, the entire Cleveland Police Department, prosecutor's office. As you see, we're here, we're Jailyn's voice. Unfortunately, there's no family on our side, but we're her family. I wrote a short poem, just something in commemoration of Jailyn's life. J is for the justice that'll be received today. A is for the angel wings she earned on that joyful day. I is for the incremental repetition, build-up of suspense for an innocent bystander's death that clearly makes no sense. L is for the lack of love while alone for 11 days. Y is for a young life that was taken away. N is for new eternal life Jailyn gained on that day. No child should ever have to die this way. Jailyn's life truly mattered. Unfortunately, she died trying to survive off of her own urine and fecal matter.
Lastly, Your Honor, you're going to hear that Ms. Candelario was depressed. And no one more than I appreciate mental health and mental health issues and the programs that this court and my office have tried to implement to help folks with mental health. This is not the case here. This is not the case at all. Her actions speak louder than words. She had the wherewithal to leave Cuyahoga County and drive to Detroit, to be not with one man, but with two, let alone leaving a child, her own flesh and blood, in a pack and play. And during the time that she has been locked up, she has been making plans for the future, talking to other folks at other jails, other prisons. She had a conversation, which I find more disturbing than not, but on November 26, 2023, instead of wrought with emotion, wrought with guilt, crying about the death of her child, she's talking with a friend about her trip to Puerto Rico and what a blast it was and how much the car cost, and they got a truck versus a car even though it was more expensive, and they were concerned about the other woman that was on the trip because she liked to spend money, and they spent money on food. There was never mention about her daughter in her phone calls, and in fact, on January 6th of 2024, she's talking to her mother, who she repeatedly talks to, and they talk about God is forgiving, God is this. You also have to take responsibility for your actions, and God isn't in the courtroom. That's why we have judges, and that's why we have the law, because we have to follow the law. But this is what she says, because she wants to make us believe that she doesn't understand the English language. She goes on to say, there are people who have gone free here, killing people. I mean, imagine. I mean, intentionally, and mine was practically an accident. I mean, because it was not like I did it intentionally. It's not like I picked up a gun or a bat or the girl bled or something like that. That's it. It was practically the same thing that happened to me a few days prior. I had the same thing happen to me days prior. And I mean that day that it happened. That same situation happened. Were you starved when you were in Puerto Rico, Miss Candelaria? Did you not have a glass of water to drink when your mouth was parched? It is really pretty pathetic, Your Honor, because, you know, we always stand before you and say that the purposes and principles of sentencing are to punish the offender and to protect the public. And, you know, in the sentencing memorandum, the defense says, well, she's not going to do it again. Well, no, she's not going to do it again because she's going to prison. But it's the fact that she did it in the beginning that sticks with us. You don't do that. She was a mother. She got a title that means something in this world. Animals take care of their infants better. The thought of this child dying every day while she's having fun, humanity can't stomach that. And those are the actions that need to be punished. She abandoned her daughter and left her for dead. So yeah, she didn't see blood. She didn't see the aftermath of a baseball bat. But what she did see were her eyes open, looking at her saying, why did you do this to me? Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. Ferrer. Okay, we're going to turn now to the defense. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Your Honor. May it please the court, everything that I'm about to get into here today, and my client agrees with me, is no justification for her actions. And what the prosecution said, actions matter, and these actions are narcissistic, selfish, abhorrent, absolutely worst parenting imaginable. She pled to aggravated murder. She pled to child endangering. So everything we're about to tell you is mitigation. Just to kind of give you an understanding of who this person is. So she came over from Ecuador 2016 with her grandmother. She was here for a few years. Her parents came over and they lived together. She had her first daughter, Amaya, while she was married. She subsequently got divorced. Was a single mom raising Amaya. Met the father of Jailyn in Ecuador. They had a relationship that unfortunately turned violent. While she was pregnant with Jailyn, he became physical with her. She came back to Cleveland and never see him again, gave birth to Jailyn. He was never involved in Jailyn's life. She had 2 daughters out with the help of her parents. She was struggling emotionally, physically, trying to work, support these children. Fast forward to 2023. It's just overwhelming. She even tried to harm herself. Took 20 Motrin. Ended up in Metro. In early February of 23, after spending just a few days in her room alone, her mother went to check on her, asked her what was going on. Her whole side of her body was numb. Didn't know what was going on. They took her to Hillcrest Hospital. She was admitted there, and they were doing some evaluations for her migraines. She was complaining about headaches and weakness, facial drooping, thought it was possible stroke. They put her on IV Depakote, which is a anti-seizure, also used to treat manic disorder. And at the end of the day, after evaluations, she was clean, nothing wrong with her brain. They gave her oral Depakote and Effexor, 2 antidepressants, and sent her home. She was not very clear on what those were, but she was taking them supposedly as directed. And then she returned to Hillcrest Hospital again in March, and there was a note from the doctor saying that she should have had plenty of Effexor, but she's saying that she's out and she needs more, and she's coming back with these same problems.
So they had her evaluated again, and they were saying that her anxiety and her stress was the trigger for these physical manifestations to what was happening to her, for the loss of sensation in the side of her body, the numbness. And they prescribed her more Depakote, more Effexor, and also Atarax to help her sleep because she wasn't sleeping. And this is in March of 2023. And, you know, take the medications as prescribed. And then medications ran out. She wasn't feeling any better. They weren't working. She stopped. You're not supposed to do that with these drugs, Your Honor. These are very serious mental health drugs. And you need to be tapered off of these medications or there could be some side effects. Not only the side effects, but the actual underlying conditions that she may have had or been suffering from are also going unmedicated at this time. And then we get into her trip. And you know, I'm not going through that again. That's the worst thing I've ever heard. And I commend the prosecution and the detectives for their work. It was unimaginable, terrible, and I feel for all you guys having to deal with that too, and her family as well. It's when the prosecution showed pictures of her on her trip. Pictures can be deceiving. Personally, for having myself suffer from depression and anxiety, you can't tell what a person's going through from a picture, what they're dealing with on the inside. And I'm thankful for the support that I had from my family, my friends, my doctors. She didn't have any of that. She was hiding it from herself, from her parents. Nobody knew what she was suffering from. Her doctors even thought it was migraines and possible strokes. And to be honest with you, when I first met her, Your Honor, after this happened in June, I met a person that was devoid of emotion. Just after hearing what had happened on the news, and then I get the call, she wants to meet with me, and I go talk to her, it was not what I expected. She had no emotion. She couldn't explain anything. I had no idea who I was talking to. But I'll tell you right now, this is not the same person. This person now is compliant on her medications. She's been taking them through the prison throughout the whole time that she's been in here. You know, again, there's no justification for her action when she was out there, what she was doing. She could have called somebody, she could have done this, yes, but when you're in that state, when you're off medication, mismanaging your thoughts, you're not thinking clearly. Her body she had to get out, and she was having fun. If she was okay, in her mind, Jailyn was okay. Of course that's not the case. But I will point to when she did finally get home, and we heard that 911 call, she didn't want this to happen. You could hear that. Screaming, help me, my daughter's dying. Yes, because of your actions, because of what your choices were. And you took responsibility for that, but that call, that one tiny breach from whatever was going on in her head, that reality that her daughter was dying, she was calling for help, she didn't want that. And again, Your Honor, she took responsibility. She pled to aggravated murder. She pled to child endangering. Nothing's going to bring Jailyn back. She knows that. So then, yeah, after the fact, in her state, she was telling detectives whatever. She thought she had another daughter. She had a Maya she had to think about. She had her parents. And then the prosecution saying that nobody's here on behalf of Jailyn. That's wrong. Her parents are here. They love that girl. They love Jailyn. Her mother loved Jailyn. She didn't deserve what happened to her. Nobody does. But they're here to talk on behalf of Jailyn as well. They loved her. So this time around, I'd like to call her parents up to sit here.
It's the same thing, just please identify themselves and spell their first and last name. Do we need an interpreter?
Yes, sir.
Robert, are you okay?
Good morning.
I'm going to ask, would you like to go first then? Identify yourself.
Yo solo voy a hablar.
She's just going to
Yo
talk.
solo voy a
He's just here.
hablar.
Okay, got it.
Va a hablar
de esto.
No, Luis. Yo.
Okay, please say your name.
Katy Torres. ¿Mi nombre?
Katie Torres.
Okay, and can you spell it for the record, Robert?
Puede deletrearse K con K, ¿cierto? K-A-T-I-Y, ¿cierto?
K-E-T-T-Y.
K-E-T-T. K-E-T-T-Y. ¿Y Torres con S o?
Con S.
Torres, T-O-R-R-E-S.
Okay, and present with her is her husband and his name?
¿Y junto con ella es su nombre, señor?
Tu nombre.
¿Cómo?
Tu nombre.
Clever Candelario. ¿Cómo? Clever Candelario. Clever Candelario.
Él no
Clever
escucha bien. Él no escucha bien. Tiene un problema de audición.
This gentleman has a hearing problem.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay, Clever con C.
Con K.
Con K.
K-L-E-B-R.
K-L-E-V-E-R. ¿Y el apellido?
Candelario, con C.
Candelario. Same as the...
You're good? All right, good.
Okay, bien, señor. Frase por frase.
Excelentísimos jueces de la Corte,
Honorable Judge of the Court.
con el corazón partido en 1000 pedazos,
With my heart ripped apart in 1,000 pieces,
pero desde el amor y sostenida por Dios,
but speaking from love and maintained by God,
estoy aquí para decirle al mundo
I am here to tell the world
que mi hija salió de un hogar
that my daughter came from a home
donde se creó una relación de humanismo,
where there was relations of humanism,
valores,
values,
creencias,
beliefs,
afectos,
emotions,
calidez,
warmth,
donde lo más importante era la familia.
where the most important thing was the family.
Kristel creció y se formó
Kristel grew up and was educated
en un ambiente sano junto a sus padres.
in a healthy environment together with her parents,
Protegida y amada.
protected and loved.
Realizó sus estudios en nuestro país natal, Ecuador.
She studied and was educated in our native country of Ecuador,
Escogiendo la misma profesión de su abuelo y sus padres.
and she chose the same profession as her fathers and her grandfather,
La docencia.
teaching.
Sus años de edad adulta fueron marcados
Her years as an adult were marked by
por problemas de salud física y sentimentales.
both physical and emotional problems
Que no siempre terminaron de la mejor manera.
that didn't always end up in the best way.
Su salud emocional se vio afectada en más de una ocasión.
Her emotional health was affected on more than one occasion.
Pero entre trabajo, responsabilidades y el día a día,
But between her work, her other responsibilities, and her day-to-day life,
en un ir y venir, no logró priorizar la importancia de un tratamiento continuo.
in the middle of all that, she never ended up prioritizing or appreciating the importance of continued treatment.
Por lo que la depresión y la ansiedad y el trastorno de neurosis de conversión fueron ganando terreno en su vida.
And because of all that, her depression, anxiety, her conversion neurosis disorder, all ended up consuming her.
Razón por la que siempre sufría desmayos y pérdida del conocimiento.
And as a result of this, she suffered fainting spells and also loss of consciousness.
Con esto no quiero victimizar ni justificar a nadie,
In saying this, I don't want to victimize or justify anyone,
solo mirar el yo interior de quien hoy está aquí sentada y siendo juzgada.
I only want to give a glimpse of the interior person, the ego of someone who is seated here and who is being judged.
Señores, las enfermedades de salud mental no se reflejan en el rostro.
Ladies and gentlemen, the sickness, a mental health illness is not reflected
Ni
in
en una-
someone's face,
Ni en una foto.
and also not in a picture, in a photo.
Nacen y se quedan en el alma.
It arises and remains in the soul.
Solo un tratamiento a tiempo y eficaz con ayuda de terapistas y médicos ayudan a mejorarlo.
And only a timely and effective treatment by therapists and doctors can help to improve those conditions.
Mi hija no tenía calidad de vida
My daughter did not have a good quality of life
porque ella no podía pausar el trabajo.
because she couldn't stop working.
Nunca nadie imaginó que este sufrimiento terminaría en tragedia.
No one ever imagined that this suffering would culminate in a tragedy.
Y hoy aquí quiero decirle a Jailyn
And here I'm.
que eres nuestro ángel, Jailyn.
I want to say here before Jailyn, our angel,
Tu recuerdo vive en nosotros.
that your memory lives within us.
Siempre te amaremos.
We will always love you.
Te acuné en mis brazos.
I held you in my arms.
Tus abuelos nunca te olvidarán.
Your grandparents will never forget you.
Perdóname, bebé,
Forgive me
por vivir la oscuridad del conocimiento
for being in the dark
que me imposibilitó ver la luz y poder ayudar a tu
for being
madre.
in the darkness that prevented me from seeing the light to see what was going on with your mother.
Hija querida, cuánto te amo.
My beloved daughter, I love you so much.
Lamento y me arrepiento
I lament and I am
por no
so
haber
sorry
por no haber detectado lo que estabas viviendo.
for not having detected what you were going through.
No leí tu corazón.
I could not see what was in your heart.
No me percaté del caos
I didn't notice the chaos
por el que estabas atravesando.
that you were going through.
Lamento ahora, hija de mi vida, causarte este dolor.
I lament my darling daughter that I caused you this pain.
Señores de esta sala,
Your Honor,
pido misericordia,
I ask for mercy.
clemencia y compasión
I ask for mercy, for clemency, and for compassion
para un ser humano
for a human being
que ha librado una dura batalla en su vida.
that has waged a very difficult battle in her life.
Y ruego no satanizarla,
And I beg that you not
ni señalarla.
I beg that you not demonize her and point the finger at her.
¿Quién en esta vida no ha pecado contra Dios?
Who in this life has not sinned against God?
Que levanten la mano quienes no lo han hecho.
Anyone who hasn't, let them raise their hand.
Pero como creemos en un Dios de amor y de bondad,
But since we believe in a
y de,
in a God of love and of goodness
en un Dios de perdón,
and a God of forgiveness,
Él está aquí con nosotros.
He is here with us.
Hija, te amo.
My daughter, I
Aquí
love
estaré siempre para ti.
you. We're here always for
Te
you.
voy a esperar toda la vida.
I'm going to wait the rest of my life for you.
Sí.
Thank you. Bien.
Un momento.
Señores excelentísimos jueces de la Corte,
Honorable judges of the court,
estoy aquí consternado por todo lo sucedido,
I am shocked by everything that happened,
dándole apoyo moral y espiritual a nuestra hija.
and I am giving moral and spiritual support
Señores
to our
jueces,
daughter Kristel.
pido compasión, comprensión, empatía, misericordia para un ser humano que ha tenido una etapa de su vida cargada de mucho estrés y preocupaciones.
Gentlemen judges,
Las enfermedades mentales
Gentlemen judges, I ask for compassion, understanding, empathy, and mercy for someone who is going through a stage of stress and mental and emotional illness and worries.
Las enfermedades mentales y emocionales no avisan.
Mental and emotional illness does not give warning.
Cada persona es un mundo.
Each person is a world unto herself.
Y el mundo interior de mi hija
And the inner world of my
se
daughter
convulsionó.
was shaken.
Sin darnos cuenta,
without our having realized it.
la depresión, la ansiedad,
Depression,
la envolvieron hasta hacerle perder el juicio y la razón.
depression and anxiety consumed her to the point of depriving her of good judgment and reason.
Aquí está mi hija Kristel, que también tiene un motivo para seguir adelante.
Here's my daughter Kristel, who also has a motive to go forward with your help.
Con la ayuda de ustedes y esa razón,
With your help and with this motive,
se llama Amaya,
her name is Amaya.
que tiene 7 años
She is 7 years old,
y espera ver a su madre
and she hopes to
y
see,
abrazarla
and she hopes to see her mother and hug her very soon.
muy pronto.
Very soon.
Ruego a ustedes, imploro, perdón, suplico, comprensión.
I beg for your help, forgiveness, and understanding.
Hija querida, recuerda siempre
My beloved daughter, always remember
que nunca te olvidaremos.
that we will never
A Jailyn,
forget Jailyn,
mi amada nietecita,
my beloved granddaughter,
que tuve en mis brazos,
who I held in
que
my
todos
arms,
los días tenía que yo amanecer cogiéndola a mi nieta,
that every
quien
day
extraño mucho,
we miss you very much,
profundamente.
very deeply.
Su imagen está grabada en mi recuerdo.
I carry her image always within my memory.
Jailyn es nuestra luz.
Jailyn is the light of our life.
Amaya es nuestra esperanza.
Amaya is our hope.
Te amo, hija.
I love you, my daughter,
Hasta el final de mis días.
until the end of my days.
Y aquí estaremos esperando por ti.
And we will be here waiting for you.
Que Dios te dé fuerza, valentía cada día de tu vida.
May God give you strength and courage
Gracias.
every day of your life.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, Your Honor, just in quick conclusion, when you're contemplating your decision, she was obviously struggling with something that she was unaware of. Doctors weren't aware of, her family was unaware of. It's again, not a justification for what she did. But when she finally returned home and called 911, that fear, and also what wasn't mentioned earlier in the recording, she was told to perform CPR, and she tried to bring her daughter back, or tried to do whatever she could. And I asked her too, recently, hey, if that would have been successful, had the paramedics or yourself been able to revive Jailyn and she was still here, do you think you belong here? Absolutely, she said. She said, I don't know what I was thinking. I don't know. I can't put myself back into that state of mind I was in. She hates herself for it. She thinks of her daughter, and I actually am going to let her speak now. Thank you.
Ms. Candelario, you want to stand up and address the court?
Kristel herself addressed the court, and for the first time across this entire case, she spoke about Jailyn as a real person she had known, using a nickname for her daughter, describing her smile as infectious, saying that God and Jailyn had already forgiven her. It was the only time she spoke of her daughter that way, in a courtroom with her sentence hanging in the balance.
Hay mucho dolor que tengo con respecto a la pérdida de mi bebé Jailyn.
There's so much pain that I have in regards to the loss of my baby Jailyn.
Estoy muy dolida por todo lo que pasó.
I'm extremely hurt about everything that happened.
No estoy tratando de justificar mis actos.
I am not trying to justify my actions.
Pero nadie sabe cuánto yo estaba sufriendo.
But nobody knew how much I was suffering.
Y por lo que estaba pasando.
And what I was going through.
Todos los días le pido perdón a Dios y a mi hija, Jailyn.
Every day I ask forgiveness from God and from my daughter, Jailyn.
Soy una persona creyente de Dios.
I'm a person who believes in God.
Y reconozco hoy que todos y todas, muchas ocasiones, somos tentados por el enemigo.
And I recognize today that all of us are sometimes subject to the enemy.
Dios y mi hija me han perdonado.
God and my daughter have forgiven me.
Quisiera pedir perdón también a mi hija Amaya.
I would also like to ask Amaya, my daughter Amaya, for forgiveness.
Y a mis padres.
And I'd like to ask my parents for forgiveness.
No se imaginan cuánto yo era unida a mi hija Jailyn y Amaya.
One can't imagine how close I was to my daughters, Jailyn and Amaya.
Y cuánto nos amábamos todas.
And how much we all loved one another.
Extraño mucho a mis hijas.
I miss my daughters very much.
Hoy, nada puede devolverme a Maya. A Jailyn, perdón.
Now, I know that nothing can bring Jailyn back.
Y no pasa un día que no deje de pensar en ella.
And not a day goes by when I do not think of her.
Le pido a Dios que algún día pueda volverla a ver
I pray to God that one day I will see her again.
Y poder retornar junto con Amaya, que es nuestra única esperanza el día de hoy.
And I pray also that one day I can be reunited with Amaya, who is our only hope right now.
Thank you, Susan. Your honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Smith?
Thank you.
All right. Ms. Candelario, you might as well stand up. This court has to impose a sentence here today. And the first thing a judge has to do is look at the purposes and principles of sentencing. That is, the sentence must comply with these purposes and principles under our revised code 292911A. The overriding purpose is to punish the offender and protect the public from future crime by this offender and others, using the minimum sanctions that the court determines accomplishes this purpose without imposing an unnecessary burden on state or local government resources. I always have to consider the need for incapacitation, deterrence, rehabilitation, and restitution. The sentence should be commensurate with and not demeaning to the seriousness of the offender's conduct, its impact on the victims, and consistent with sentences for similar crime by similar offenders. Ms. Candelario, I am not sentencing you today based on your race, your ethnicity, your gender, or your religion. Do you understand?
Yes.
I sat here, listened, and I'm looking in the back of this courtroom, and I think of Dr. Mooney's statements to me, Sergeant Detective Teresa Gomez, and Detective Powell, and these three experienced, very talented, hardworking individuals all called this one of the most horrific cases they've ever seen. I look in the back of this courtroom and I see law enforcement, I see individuals who have worked on this case, who are here because it's also affecting them and how horrific this crime is. It stunned people across this world because it defies one of the basic human responsibilities. The bond between a mother and a child is one of the most purest and most sacred bonds between human beings. It's a relationship built on love, trust, and unwavering protection. Yet, in a shocking and betrayal of this fundamental trust, you committed the ultimate act of betrayal, leaving your baby terrified, alone, unprotected, to suffer what I heard was the most gruesome death imaginable, with no food, no water, no protection, and lying in her own feces. Ms. Candelario, you know the responsibility of parenthood. You have a child already. You raise another child. And I've witnessed here before me your parents who showed you love and respect and education. And they came here to help you, to advocate for you, more than what you've done for your own child. The evidence that I've witnessed here before this court shows that this time you simply chose not to be here because you wanted to have fun. You decided you needed a vacation. And what followed was absolute depravity. You left your baby, Jailyn, trapped in a pack and play without food and water for 10 days. This wasn't simply an oversight. You could have saved Jailyn's life many times. You could have found someone to watch her while you were gone. You could have taken her with you while you were in Detroit or Puerto Rico. You could have called someone in Cleveland and told them that Jailyn needed help. Dr. Mooney indicated that rigor mortis was found when they found her, which means she didn't die that long before you came home. Think about that. Despite all of her suffering, that little baby persevered, waiting for someone to save her. And you could have done that with a simple phone call. Instead, I see photos of you on a beach while your child was eating her own feces in an attempt to survive. Photos mean something. And I'm well aware of mental health, but didn't look like you were too concerned about your child. As if that wasn't bad enough, you extended your stay in Detroit without regard to Jailyn, alone, in pain, clawing her face in distress from the exhibits I just looked at, trapped in a tiny prison that you left her in. When you got home, you knew enough to start lying. You concocted story after story, trying to hide what you did. You even put pants on her, but you couldn't hide the absolute horror and filth that she spent the last days of her life in. You still didn't get it. I hear this morning that you went out and managed to go out with someone that you were with, and he was too upset to eat, but you weren't. And then I hear that you're in jail and you're telling people, I can't wait to get home. I look at remorse. I hear, except for the acceptance of responsibility, no remorse. As a court, I have to remember Jailyn, where you did not. Just as you didn't let Jailyn out of her confinement until she died, so too, you should spend the rest of your life in a cell without freedom. The only difference will be that prison will at least feed you and give you liquids that you denied her. Based on all these factors, based on all the things I've looked at, and I'm marking this as State's Exhibit 1 for the court of order. On count 1, aggravated murder, I'm going to sentence you to life in prison without the possibility of parole. On count 5, I'm going to sentence you to 8 years to run concurrent to count 1. I'm going to tell you, Kristel, this is probably one of the most difficult, horrific cases to listen to hear, and to see. And I can tell you that I appreciate the fact that the state of Ohio presented this matter in a professional way, and the defense has acted in a professional way. You have a right to appeal my sentence. Do you have the money or means to hire a lawyer at this time?
No.
All right. I'll appoint a lawyer to represent her on appeal. And on the endangering children, because of the Reagan-Tokes thing, it would be 8 to 12 years. That would be concurrent with the aggravated murder, which is life without parole.
Life in prison without the possibility of parole. The judge told Kristel directly that Jailyn had never been released from her confinement until she died, and so Kristel would spend the rest of her life confined without freedom. The only difference, he said, was that prison would feed her and give her water, the very thing she had denied her own daughter. Kristel Candelario filed an appeal. Jailyn Candelario lived 16 months. The neighbors who shared no blood with her loved her more than anyone who did by right of family. A 13-year-old girl next door spoke about her like a sister. The woman she called mom was not her mother. In her entire short life, she never got to know what it felt like to be the most important thing in the world to the person who was supposed to protect her above everyone else. In her final days, she was alone in a playpen the size of a bathroom mat, with the June sun outside and cars rolling down West Boulevard and the whole ordinary world carrying on completely unaware. She cried until she couldn't anymore. The medical examiner told the court that Jailyn had fought, that her small body had held on far longer than anyone would have thought possible, and that she had not surrendered easily. She waited until the very end for someone to walk through that door. The neighbors said afterward that they had seen the signs but hadn't known what to do. If you are seeing something like this near you right now, you do know what to do. The Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline number is in the description below, and one call that nobody made could have changed everything. Remember her, not the case number, not the dates. Her, Jailyn. Big eyes, always smiling, called a stranger mom because there was no one else to give that name to. She deserved so much more than she got, and the only thing left that we can do is make sure she is not forgotten.